it seems like somewhere along the way, they fell a little bit behind with regard to like concealment holsters. And I think that's sort of where your story begins with Safariland, right?
Yes, that's where I've been most useful, I believe, for the company. And so as you talk about these holster technologies, we go back to the rock and lock motion of braking retention this way, thumb brakes. In each of these, the core piece of information is it's one hand movement. So one hand movement, whether it's a rock or a thumb snap, equates to, at Safariland, one level of retention. This began with Bill Rogers back in the day. So if you look up at the SLS hood that we have right here, the strap that goes across the top, if you push it in and let it go, it pops back into place. So you have to go in, and then you have to intentionally rock it forward. That forms two levels. And the automatic locking system is this nub, looking for the best resolution for it, underneath there that you hit with your thumb, and it goes backwards. The part about this from the law enforcement side that's most useful, in my mind, is that these directions are oppositional. You must first go down and then forward, which positions you to then go straight back to release the firearm on a level 3. In this method, if I'm coming at you from the front or the side, I have to navigate 3 different directions in order to take that firearm away from you. This has always been our core competency. It began with Bill. It began before Bill, realistically, with some of what we were doing with Neil Perkins at Safariland and Bianchi with Bianchi leather holsters and their thumb snaps. But Bill took it into the Boltron space, the plastics, began doing the leather wrap because that was the norm of the day. But then moving away from that, now we wrap with Cordura, or we just do the straight injection molding like you would see on Ballast, which is the newest of these launches. The fundamentals of these have stayed the same now for more than 20 years. Down, forward, back, and the firearm is released. Outside the waistband, we are the most robust. We're the most prolific within the law enforcement military space. We do the best work here altogether. Years ago, we kind of stopped developing on the in-waistband side because this kept the company busy. And this for us was a problem because at this time, I mean, I'm sure you remember those movements back, what we're talking 2012, 2014, Springfield releases the XDS. And that for the first time was this super micro compact 45. Now you didn't have to talk about J-frames or your random car single stacks. People began everywhere finding a really affordable option for deep concealment. And then the 43, or actually the 42 was on its heels. Yes. The 43, the 365, the Hellcat, the entire G2C family in all of the variations with the G2 and G3C and now the G4. These guns, they completely changed the way we all thought about concealed carry, right? Because they're not a 17, 19, 26 paradigm. Just chopping off barrel and grip to make it smaller. These are completely dedicated concealed carry guns that never have had a duty application as the primary firearm for a patrol cop. So therefore, Safariland kind of didn't make holsters for them. Not kind of. We flat out didn't. We made some multi-fit holsters, but that was not what the market demanded. And so in the time that I was working with Murray Road with Safariland, I had an opportunity to go into Fay Road in Jacksonville, our facility where we do our manufacturing, and talk to the engineers, talk to the general manager about kind of where we were and where the market was. And that began a conversation about, okay, if we're legitimately looking at the concealed carry market representing roughly 70% of holster buying in the mom and pop gun stores, in the big box stores, where does that leave Safariland? And the answer was Safariland owns the duty space. And we have a lot of committed customers on the commercial side who carry these 6000 series holsters specifically. They love these guys because they're bomb proof. You can destroy them externally, but they're still going to hold your gun internally. We needed that concealed carry side. And so we came up with Species and Schema almost at the same time. I believe Schema was first. It's a skeletonized holster, very striking in its appearance, but people either love it or hate it. We built it for the 43, 48 small gun size pieces exclusively to start with.
And is that the one, David, that's kind of skeletonized?
Yes.
Yes, it's
It's
very
injection
minimalistic.
molded,
Yep, yep.
totally minimalistic. As I mentioned, like people take a look at it and they say, they either love it and buy it, or they say, and they don't. But then right on its heels, we launched the Species holster, which that's a thermoform piece like this with a single clip, a very minimalist in waistband design, super traditional. Everybody immediately recognizes exactly what it is. So those two holsters for us in point of sale retail are providing a great opportunity for people who are either wanting something that's minimalist on the one side, or they're just getting into the everyday carry game and they haven't added a light. They haven't gotten to the need for an extra mag caddy. They just want something that's super easy to clip, take off, maybe wear it strong side, maybe start practicing AIWB. Maybe they're even canting it and putting it in small at the back. They're super flexible, and we make them for a wide variety of fits, and they're priced very competitively. So that opened up the doors for us, and allowed us to go back into where we are on the Incog side with Haley Strategic. The conversation with Haley Strategic was beginning right around the same point in time. And we had some teams at Safariland who understood the request from Haley Strategic, but not necessarily the power that Travis Haley, as an influencer, as a trainer, as a brand within this space, brought to the table. And so when we launched this, it exploded our potential for in waistband carry. Right from the beginning, Haley wanted to make a very serviceable, completely adaptable, everything you want from an AIWB holster available everywhere Safariland is sold. So he wanted to take it wide in distribution and make it available to anybody who wanted to get into this serious form of in waistband carry. Lights, optics, magazines, everything encapsulated in one design, adaptable across as many fits as we could possibly hit. And so we're still in the development right now of keeping that going, almost 2 years into the product run. And it's been the most successful of the holster families that we've launched to date.
That holster is absolutely awesome. I was at the Safariland kind of gun riders event where it was launched, and we had sort of a day or so training with Travis Haley and some of his instructors. And, that was the first time that I had met Travis Haley. I was very impressed, but I had learned from him for a long time, like you said, from his videos and things on YouTube. And back in the day when he was with Magpul, right? The training stuff that he did, really, really kind of a trailblazer in the industry, and a very knowledgeable guy, a very articulate guy, and a guy who bases his stuff on science, not just like old wives' tales. So, yeah. So with his knowledge and your guys' ability to make holsters, I mean, it seems like a perfect fit. And I was impressed with that holster from day one. I mean, it was, I use that holster. I have two different ones for different firearms that I use a lot. And it's probably, I would say it's probably my favorite holster that I carry. And you can, if you want, for those who don't want the mag caddy, you can take it off of there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So some people don't like that. Some people like a slimmer fit here. But for me, when a holster does have a mag caddy, like the Incog X does, then I'm automatically going to carry a spare magazine. If not, I don't always carry a spare magazine, depending on what I'm wearing and that type of thing. And I like the idea of having a spare magazine. If you got a caddy that's just sitting there empty, you're going to put it there. A lot of times when I'm wearing a spare magazine, like on my left side, it's the magazine that's more cumbersome than the gun is. It's like the magazine digs into me, or it's not comfortable. And so I'm so used to carrying a gun, but not as used to carrying a spare magazine. That solves that problem for you. And it's pretty easy on and off. It's comfortable. Some people may look at that and kind of think, oh my gosh, it's too wide. I mean, to each their own, but I think that that's very comfortable. And there's kind of two schools of thought. You correct me if I'm wrong here. One school is to have something that's super narrow. But when you have something that's super narrow, that could be uncomfortable because it's not spread out. It's kind of like a pinch point, if you will. Am I making any sense with that, brother? You know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. Okay. And we are very much committed to bringing everybody both options, right? And that's why when we look at the development of this, in fact, I just got off the phone with the Haley strategic team talking about what comes next down this line and where we go. And the idea is, do we take this and begin to refine it in some way that leans into that single point clip, whether it's coming off of here for those smaller guns or not? You have a mass question. If you're putting a 17 in your pants with a light, with a magazine, with a spare magazine on a single clip, that joker wants to tip. It wants to move out of alignment no matter how wide that clip is. And so there are times when a dual clip setup legitimately is the best and most efficient way to carry. But if you're talking about a Glock 48 that you're not carrying with a light, that you have a single magazine in, maybe you have your spare in your pocket, or you're not committed to carrying a spare, a single point clip really is far more functional. And if you can do it correctly, you don't get that pinch point part. I know a lot of folks who like to slide it around. They sit down and they want to take a single clip and maybe, I'm exaggerating here, but they want to angle it a little bit in their pants. And you can't do that with a dual point clip. So there's functionalities that we still have options to explore with the line. And that's currently where we are in terms of development conversations. But this has been wildly successful for us. And we do see people taking the mag caddy off and taking one clip off and making it effectively a single point clip for some of those smaller pieces.